Hello and welcome to Summer Interview Series. This is episode 11 and today I have the pleasure of inviting my friend Elisabeth Johnson to join us and she's going to be sharing her story. As a reminder, integrated living is simply combining your passions with your work in a way that keeps your main things the main things and just helps you to live a life that you love to live every single day. And I'm super excited to have Elisabeth here today. We have a lot in common with kids and businesses, and I really look up to Elisabeth just in the fact that she does all the things and does it with so. Can't wait for you guys to hear her story today, and just to really leave feeling inspired that just because you're a mom does not mean that your life needs to stop. It just changes. Oh, hey. Oh, one second.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Can you? Okay, I can hear you. All right, I took my headphones out so that we don't have to deal with echo. There, we're good. No echo, right, guys? Tell us below if there's an echo.
Hopefully not. I have my Bluetooth on, and it's usually pretty clear.
Okay, good. I don't hear an echo on myself anymore, so I think we're good. So hey, looking fabulous as always.
Hey, thank you for having me on here today.
Yeah, thank you for doing this with us. Are you coming to us from the salon?
I am. So this is my home salon right now, and I have just like a little tucked away corner where I can work and get things done yet be home.
That's so amazing. Well, why don't you, for everyone who doesn't know you, just tell us a little about yourself. Where do you live? Tell us about your family, and a little bit about your business there in the salon.
Okay, so hi, I'm Elisabeth Johnson. I'm from Chicago area of Illinois, and I grew up here in the suburbs, and I'm the fourth oldest of 12 kids. We haven't really gone too far, and we kind of just stay in the area, but the oldest is only 35 and the youngest is 8. So I have an 8-year-old sister and a 4-year-old daughter. So they're super close. And
oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm always amazed and I forget how many kids there are. 12 kids.
Yes, and it's fun growing up in a big family. It's different. It's not something that you necessarily would see every day, I guess. It's new and
right?
exciting. So for us, it's pretty normal because that's all we really know. But it is, you can always learn something from someone. And my mom was actually one of 12. And what I was just telling one of my cousins yesterday, I'm like, each time I meet or I like talk with one of the sisters or one of my aunts, you always learn something new. And I feel like that's just the case with anyone that you meet. You can always pick up something where you're relatable or something that you aspire to want to be or something. So I love that portion of it. It's never boring. But so I always kind of knew I wanted to do hair ever since I was like 12 or 13. I started like cutting my brother's hair, and my mom let me foil her hair for the first time at 14. I don't know why.
Oh my God. How did that turn out?
Actually it turned out good. It took like 4 hours, but it was good. I had no idea what I was doing, and but they were generous enough to let me try on them. And it wasn't until later on that I really realized like why I loved cutting hair and why it was kind of a passion of mine, is that most of the time as a society, and I'll get to this in just a second, but we're unhappy with something about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And appearances play a huge part of us feeling better, like feeling good about ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so when someone comes into a salon, normally it's because there's something that they need fixed about their appearance, whatever it might be, even if it's just a trim, something that makes them feel better. So everyone who came and sat in my chair left feeling a little bit better about themselves. And I didn't correlate that right away, but I loved the idea of brightening someone's day, making them feel better, and leaving feeling like a better person. So that was just a journey I kind of got to in my own way. When I was 9, actually I did a lot of traveling. I've been to about 19 different countries. And
oh wow.
So I loved it. I spent every dime I had traveling, and then I had to start saving to get married and have kids. But I did that before, and when I was in Europe, I was there for 4 months for a volunteer program, and I actually put on 20 pounds, and I was already a little overweight before I went, so that was hard. And I kept saying, oh, I'll just lose it when I get home. I'll just lose it when I get home. And I realized it was a lot harder to take off than it was to put on. And so I don't know if anyone can relate to that.
Yes,
but it was It was not so easy. And so I decided that I really need to make a change. And it wasn't until my mom had kind of said, like, hey, you should give 180 a try. And it was something for me where I had tried so many other different things. And, you know, you do things because mom says to, and that's what it was. But I had kind of had my own experience with, you know, mom always told me to do things, but at some point you grow up and you have to realize, like, you need to do things for yourself. So.
Get out. Yeah, go. You'll get $5.
It's all right. Mine might do the same thing. They're always around. But yes, anyway, I lost about 30 pounds and 19 and a half inches in about 4.5 months. And it was life changing. Just not only
I've seen your pictures.
Physically.
They're amazing.
What?
I said, I've seen your pictures. They're amazing. Actually, after this, if you want to post them below, that'd be awesome. I think people would be really encouraged. They're amazing.
Oh, no, I definitely will. I think I don't know, when you lose weight or you go through a health transformation, there's something that just triggers in you and you just have this, aha moment. And so that's when I really realized that I loved the idea of making people feel better from within, not just from like appearance wise. So it kind of correlated perfectly with tying into starting my next business, was just wanting to help people. And people would tell me that they're tired or they weren't at the weight they wanted to be, or something about them that was just not physically right. It was the same type of like correlation with hair. I was like, oh, I have something that could make you feel better. And so to have someone leave feeling better about themselves is just perfect. Like, it just went hand in hand.
That's amazing. So, I mean, what I'm hearing is your passions. You found two different passions that you were able to combine. So helping people look great on the outside, but also feeling great on the inside. So tell me, you know, because you have three kids now, right? Your youngest
we have 3, 4, and under.
Yeah, and your youngest is only a couple months?
6 months.
6 months, okay. 6 months old, yeah. So what does your life look like now that you're combining all these passions, but keeping your family as a top priority? What does that look like for you?
That's a really good question, because kids are amazing. And they are a lot of work. And so anyone who has kids will relate that it is a very selfless act to be a mom. Whether you chose to be or whether you didn't, you are now a selfless person to give to your kids, and that's just how it goes. So I think that the importance of, and again, I think everything kind of still goes into like yourself, is like, I'm always about like relifting up your cup, is that when you give, there are times where you feel like you have to refill your cup. And I noticed that I've taken times where, I mean, my family's been correlated or with Shackley for 20 plus years. We've been using the products. And I loved being able to see my mom work her business and then take some time off and, you know, work it again or whatever. She fit it into her life. And so with me, I knew I wanted something to be able to do that. And every time I've either taken a step back and maybe just maintained, not worked as hard. One, that's the beauty of the business, is that you can do that. But I always felt like I missed that avenue of, I love making the time to be able to talk with other people, to help them. And it's not that you don't love your kids and want to give to them all the time, but sometimes it's like being able to do something for someone else and to be able to kind of get relifted from that is so important. And I know that the reason I work is so that we can pay for my kids' private school education, that we can, you know, go on trips as a family. We can do things that most single family incomes can't do or can't provide. And so we wanted to have that avenue of me being able to work, but then still being able to have some of those nicer, I guess, luxuries that we don't always get. And so my motto is, my kids are not my excuse as to why I can't get things done. They're my reason of why I'm doing this.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. So how have you been able to work both of these businesses together? I mean, we all have the same amount of time, right? How do you do it?
Okay. So one, you can't do everything by yourself. So you have to realize you have to know when to ask for help, whether that be with your kids, helping to pick things up, you know, whether it be for your husband to help fold laundry, or, you know, whether it be from an in-law or maybe a sitter or something, because there are only so many things you can do in a day. Now, most of them, granted, I do when I can, but there are certain times where I'm like, hey, I can't physically do all of this, so let's figure out what it is that I can do, because as a mom and as a wife, like, you know, and anyone who's watching knows that you are not just a wife and a mom, but you are a cook, you're a cleaning, you're service, you're a caregiver, you are a chauffeur, you are like, I mean, you grocery shop. I mean, your time can be like your laundry service. I don't know. The list just goes on and on and on of all the things that you have to do, and then somehow you still have to like do other things, and you're like, how is this all possible? And so I realized after a while that you can't physically, so you have to know what you're capable of. Some people are capable of doing more than others, and so it's just knowing your limits. And then time management is like, I can't even stress how important that is, and having a schedule of what it is that you want to do. And I know it sounds crazy, but I schedule out everything because if I don't, it doesn't happen. I schedule out play dates, I schedule out appointments, or I schedule out even just free time. Like, we schedule out, we are not doing anything this day. Like, we're just gonna sit, and I mean, sometimes things come up, but for the most part, the idea is to just have those times of like, you need those. You schedule out dates with your spouse. You can schedule out, you know, whatever it is you're doing. But in the long run is you just, in my opinion, to be able to do it all, you have to know firsthand what you're trying to achieve. You have to keep your vision and your goal in mind at all time. Like, I know I'm working so that I can do some of these extra things. So when we talk with my kids, actually, I have to tell you, this is so funny to me. I just can't. My daughter at her school for Mother's Day, they had to like answer questions about their mom. And first off, Magdalena's like, my mom's 1 year old, so I'm 1, so that's good.
Okay.
But
That's
then
awesome.
it asked like what your mom does for work. And all the time when I'm working, I always let my kids and family know what we're working towards as a family. So we're working for school, we're working to go on trips, we're working for something. So then they all know why we're doing this. It isn't just like, mom needs to work, get out. Like, it's like, okay, we're doing this so that we can go on these trips. And so my daughter's 3 or 4. She has been to Mexico 3 times and she loves it. And so she's gone on all these dream trips with us and everything. So they asked, say, your mom does, and she said, my mom works for Mexico because she thinks that I work to go on trips to Mexico. So anyway,
awesome.
I thought it was so funny. I was like, yep, my mom works for Mexico.
No, that's so great. Open to interpretation.
Yep, it is definitely. But it's true. So getting them all involved in what you're doing is a big portion of it too, saying, hey, we're going to work for 20 minutes, so while you guys play, and then we're going to do this, and kind of just trying to focus on a lot of the positives.
Wow, that's amazing. That's just so amazing. Are you going to be in Vegas this next week?
I am going. We leave Sunday, so I was
good.
just doing laundry, and we were packing and getting everything all set, because we're bringing Nicholas with, because he still won't take a bottle, so he's coming with.
Yeah, you and my kids have that in common. All mine refuse a bottle except for our first one, so I get that.
That was just great. False like interpretation of what the other ones are going to be like. You're like, how come you're not like the first? Come on.
Right. So very true. So very true. So is there any advice you would like to give to people watching, especially moms who are trying to do other things besides just momhood? What advice would you give them?
Okay, I just did a whole event on this, so if anyone
did you?
Like, we're doing a sequel this Thursday, but it's all about just self-care, and I am a huge advocate of it. Obviously, I'm in the beauty profession, but I think besides that even is I'm not just talking like your hair or your nails or anything. It's just whatever is important to you that you want to fit into your schedule, but you always just say, there's not enough time, I can't. You kind of just always make an excuse as to why you can't do things. And I'm just as guilty as everyone, because I say it all the time. And I think it's finding and focusing on the things that are the most important that you want to do. So if you want to start your own business and you have to like really figure out, okay, what is it that I want to do? What am I passionate about? Why is it that I'm really like inspired to want to do this? Then you figure out your hours of operation. When can I fit this into my schedule? And when can I make this happen? It's not about not being able to. It's just, even if you can't work a 40-hour week, 20-hour week, a 10-hour week. I'm not joking. So my husband's studying for a really hard test for his work, and it's crazy. So he studies about 3 to 4 hours a day on top of all of his work. So he's gone all the time. Wow. And so one of the things that we've done is like, I've cut back a lot of my hours on one of my businesses for Shackley, is that I'm working probably 8 to 10 hours a month. I mean, that's not a lot. After conference, it'll change because he's taking his test Friday, so we're all praying that like it all goes well. But it's one of those things, is figure out. So when I work, it's not like I'm just going to sit there and like scroll through Facebook. Like, I have those 10 hours where I'm going to crack down and get as much done as I can. So my advice would be, if you want to do something, you're passionate about it, and you want to be able to have something for yourself, is that you just have to like figure out the hours that you can do it. Because I know if I can do it, anyone can. We had 3 kids in 4 years. We were fixing up our entire house, and we have 2 businesses, all while my husband's studying and trying to like promote himself in his business. So like, it's not easy, I'll just say. And so, you just have to figure out what it is you can do, step away from the things you can't do, and then just kind of make those certain things a priority. And so I think that that's the biggest thing, is like, if it's important to you, then you'll make it fit into your life. And if it's not, then it'll kind of weed itself out.
I think that's so important what you said, because we do have the tendency to try to do it all, right? Because that's who we are.
And that's what we're supposed to do. Right. Everything. But it's difficult, and there's just physically not enough hours in the day to do absolutely everything. Especially when you have the little itty bitties. If you don't have like kids in school yet, there's no free time. You don't get a break ever, because as soon as they go to sleep, another one wakes up, and then like they're taking them potty, someone's crying, needs fed, whatever, like, I need water. Yes. I mean, there's never a break.
That's so true. It's so very true. I just love your honesty and how transparent you are with the fact that you guys have a lot going on, and you have a lot of little kids, and you're still making it work. And I think one thing I want to point out is, Elisabeth didn't just start her businesses today. You've spent time building them up to the point where you can step away and work 8 to 10 hours a month, right? Oh, yeah. I mean, I think that's such a beauty of it too, is that you've been able to create a lifestyle that allows you to do that. So that's so wonderful.
It's funny because, going back to again about my kids really quick, is that every time I've had one of my kids, my Shackley business, like, that was my best month I ever had, like, which is amazing because that's the month I have to take off from cutting hair. So like, it always works out, and it's just so crazy. I mean, every single child was like, that was my best month I'd ever had. Like, each time Brandon's like, man, just keep having your best months. I was like, but I think, again, it all kind of ties together where, like you said, you can work when you can, and it has been a long time coming. So, I mean, I've been using the products 20 years, but don't get me wrong, you don't have to. Like, that's just how I grew up. And then it wasn't until I really found out I was pregnant with Magdalena, my daughter, that we decided we wanted to do this as an actual business. So that's been about 5 years, and we spent a lot of time building it up, and we've gotten to a point where it was good and steady, but we're at a point where we're ready to grow again. So Nicholas is 6 months. We've got conference coming up. He's passing his test. We've got all these things. So now we're ready. And that's the beauty of it too. I was able to step back and work to maintain, but now I'm able to put in more hours and to be able to get a bigger outcome. So really, it's just a matter of how much you want to put in to how much you're going to get back.
That's so true and so powerful. It really is such a powerful thing. I think all chaos is about to break loose here. So I'm going to thank you, Elisabeth, so much. And if you can just post those pictures below, I think it's amazing that you not only lost the weight, but you've kept it off even after your pregnancies and during your pregnancies. So I think it's such a powerful tool for people.
especially if they're looking and
Thank
they've
you
tried
so
everything
much.
and nothing has worked. We know how that goes.
It is, yeah, and it's not easy. So thank you
Yeah.
again. And
Thank
if anyone
you.
has questions for either you or
Yes.
I, we're always here. And again, Thursday we're doing that whole self-care. If anyone that knows you or me wants to join, it's really just about refilling
Yeah.
your cup and how important that is and things you can do. And there's just, I feel like something we can all kind of work towards is lifting up other women and other moms who get, I think, to that point where they feel like there's no other option, or they're stuck in everything they're doing, or they have postpartum depression, or, there's so many things that can happen. And so we're all here to work together and to help like encourage and uplift everybody. So thank you.
Yes, I love that. Do you have a link for that, or should I just tag you below?
I do. I'll post
Okay.
the link. Yeah, it's just a Facebook group. We just me and another girl had started it just last week. We did it, or 2 weeks ago now. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I'm so off on like it's
Me
crazy.
too.
So maybe it was longer. I don't know. But it's one of those things. I think it's just a community for women to just be able to kind of share things to help uplift and again refill your cup and do things that you maybe wouldn't normally do, and to reward yourself and to encourage and uplift other people too. So
I love that. All right, so we will get all that information for you below, you guys. Thanks for joining in today, and thank you again, Elisabeth. This has been wonderful.
thank you.
I'll see you next week.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Bye.